Hey everyone, welcome back to Craps University, your go-to resource for everything craps, from the beginner strategies to advanced information. Today we're exploring the topic that may seem discretionary, but in the world of craps, it's a crucial element that should not be overlooked. And today we're going to discuss tipping. Tipping the dealers. How, when, why, how much. Let's start with why. Why do we want to do that? So, this is an opinion here. Craps dealers have to put up with a lot of crap. So, not everybody that plays craps has a great personality. Some people come with an attitude, they feel like the casino owes them, and they have to put up with a lot. And when you're dealing on this side with 7 positions, there's a lot of pressure on these individuals to perform. So, craps dealers make an hourly rate. It's not that much. If you wanted to equate an hourly rate, I think it's in the very low teens. So, very low teens is not that much. $20 an hour is $40,000 a year. Who can survive in today's time on $40,000 a year? Think about it, okay? By tipping, that goes into the dealer's pockets. Now, some places they'll do it on a per table basis. Others will do a shared on different pits, how the pit is doing. But it doesn't matter. Tipping your dealers, you should be very conscious about tipping your dealers. Now, sometimes we get into craps, there's a lot going on, there's fun, people are winning. When you're winning, that's a great time to tip. It also shows respect for what they're doing. And that's the biggest. So the different types of tips at the craps table, let's say you do a direct tip. Let's say you get paid $20, you throw that back and say, for the crew. And then they'll take that. They usually have a little box here. Click, drop it. Or they'll give it to the center of the table to stack it up, to change it to a bigger chip. So they're not losing all their 1s and 5s. The second, and this is fun, if you do it, it's called a Toke Bet, where you can make a bet for the dealer. So let's say you have a don't pass. We're on a 6. And easy enough, you could do that. And say, for the crew. So what that's going to pay, let's say it's a 6. We hit that 6 right there. We know already that you're going to get 175, so 25 1-to-1, 150. You're going to get, for every 5 that you have out there, you're going to get paid 6. So we know that the dealer tip then turns into $6. They'll take that, they'll stack it, or they'll box it. One or the other. That's very easy, self-service way to make a bet for the dealer. You know, you can also do things such as, we know we have 6 numbers, and you could say, play across. And then they'll take it and they'll break it down, and you'll usually see something like this, and possibly they'll load up on these numbers because they're smart about craps. They know that 6 and 8 will pay. And I've seen it go as far as hitting the number. Sometimes they'll press it. Sometimes they'll take the winnings and leave these bets, or they'll write them and get them up to $6 for the 6 and 8. But they really like playing alongside and really playing with your money. But it gives them an opportunity to turn what you're tipping them into more. The next thing is you can do another prop or a toke bet, but it's a prop toke bet. And one of the most famous ones that people like to do is they'll tip $4 and you'll play the Hardways for them. So that's basically an all-day bet for the series of the roll until, like this, an 8 hits. If it was an easy 8, then they lose. But if a hard 10 hits, they know that $1 then turns into $8 on this table. And sometimes they'll leave it. Sometimes they'll press it, take that. You know, it's really up to them what they do with that money. But that's fun. You know, you can do things like throw it on the C&E. Craps and yo. You could put it on a horn high 12, you know. It just depends on what it is. But they like when you play along. There's also the such thing as a stack tip, where you add a chip for the dealers directly on top of your own bet, like a pass line. Just make sure that you announce to the dealer that that's a two-way bet. So you could do something like, boom, and say, two-way for the dealers. And they'll know that that top bet is theirs, the bottom is yours. They'll pay them out separately. They'll take their bet if it wins with the payout, of course. And that's another cool way to play for the dealer. Now let's talk about when. When do you tip? Nothing's mandatory with tipping, but a lot of times when I walk up and I buy in, that's a little bit of work. I'll put some sort of tip out. If I put 25, I might do that, or I might do beside, and I'll say for the crew. You know, that's just a little goodwill to them for the work that they did, counting you out, getting you chips, getting you in the game. That's also a good thing. You know, after you win big, let's say if you had something like 25 on a hard 10, that is actually going to pay $200 on this table. Okay? That's 8 chips. 8 to 1. Okay? Sometimes you might take that and you'll say, there's a lot of things you can do. You can say, press my hard 10 by 20 and 5 for the dealer. And they would do something, they would change that up. They would press yours and maybe play a dealer right there, knowing that if that hard 10 hits again, they're going to win that bet. It's all fun, right? The dealers like gambling with the player's money, basically, but you're in control. So another good habit is, and I do this a lot, is sometimes I miss big wins. I miss pressing a bet for them, but I always tip when I leave. And what does that say? They've done a lot of work for you. Depending on if I've won, if I walk away win, the bet's much bigger. If I don't win much, the bet's not that big. But that is another opportunity for you to say, let's just say, I bought in with 500, I take home that, and I get some oddball change here. I might tip them a 25 and that oddball change, and we're done. Okay? And that's really helping pay for their time. And the next time you come to the table and the dealers are there, they'll know you, and they'll say hi, they'll be friendly, they'll talk to you. Now, how much do you tip? How much is enough? I think, personally, anything is great, because as long as they're collecting. Now, you do have to be careful about over tipping, okay? Over tipping and then disappearing while you're still at the table and never laying out another tip. I believe the dealers would like you to take that big tip and spread that across many different shooters and rolls, because that gives them the ultimate opportunity to win some extra tip money. So if you were to tip them 25 in one roll, they could 7 out and lose that 25, okay? But if you took that 25 and you said, okay, I'm going to take this 5 right here. This is $25 exchange for 5s. And I'm going to randomly tip through different shooters and different rolls. That is much better, because that gives them an opportunity. So if you were to play a Hardway for them at 5, we know at this table you're going to get 40. Okay? Would you rather have, actually, and they're going to pretty much, sometimes they leave the bet and other times they take it down, 45 or the original 25. Of course, we all know that a dealer would rather have the 45. And you can use that to randomly tip them, maybe after some winnings, a winning roll. It's really up to you. There's no defined rule of how much, if you hit something big, let's just say you're balling and you've got 600 on 6, we hit that. We know that you're going to get paid out 700. So that 700, you might say, take that 100 and put it across. And then they've got some real substantial cash out there. Getting paid out 700, basically you've paid that bet off. You still got 600 out. You use what you made in profit, that $100, and put it across. And the dealer will put it across how they see fit. It might be 10, 15, whatever they want to do. And you should be, pretty good. If you're playing with black chips, don't send out $1. probably, if you're playing with black chips, don't send out the $5. They want to see green. And I do think if you're winning playing black chips, greens are fantastic way to tip. And the dealers love that. Always thank the dealers for what they're doing. But don't feel pressured to over tip. Okay? Keep it in a realistic fashion. This table has 14 positions across it. And if everybody had the same theory of continuously tipping, but maintaining like bets coming out, these dealers would be doing pretty good. But as you look around, you might be the only one tipping. But by tipping, what does that do? The other players see that. And it says, oh, I should tip too. And then, it's a little contagious. And we're not talking a huge amount. They might not know that tipping really helps the dealers. And it improves the game. So here's some do's and don'ts around tipping. Don't over tip. We talked about that a little bit ago. Spread it across the session. Don't be sarcastic when you tip. Like, all right, here's your 5. Dealers don't want it. They'll take it, of course, but that type of attitude where you're kind of begrudging to tip, just add some bad karma to the table. Never tip in coins. So let's just say you got some coins from some other table. Don't throw coins down. Let's try to tip in chips. Be clear when you put down a tip for a dealer. Be clear. They know that that's a tip for them. So here's some bonus strategies when you want to tip on your play. You can place tips on exotic bets like Hardways. We talked about that. They'll take any type of bet because, I don't see a lot of tips on the hops. Sometimes on some bonuses, this table uses fire bet as the bonus. Other tables have all tall and small. And I have a mat coming that we'll be able to play all tall and small on this table by adding that extra mat, which will be pretty good when we talk about that in detail. Tip bets often. So like I said, you don't have to make one big bet. You can take that but tip often and regularly especially if you're winning. Some people, they feel that tipping actually brings them luck. Does it? I don't think so. But it definitely brings some good karma to the table. And it builds that relationship with dealers that, they'll help you. They can help keep you on track. If let's just say you were playing Hardways and you've been tipping and that hard 10 falls for some reason, they might say, hard 10 fell, because they know that you've tipped on your winnings, so they know that you play Hardways, so they want to keep you making sure if that hard 10 hit, then, and you didn't have it on there, you'd be kind of disappointed in yourself. It's easy so tipping matters. It's easy to do, and it makes the game better for everybody. Just don't let one guy tip at the table on your end. You know, try to get in there and make a difference. Remember, if you have any questions on how to tip, let's ask them in the comments. Or your favorite way of tipping. Like, we went over quite a few ways, but if you have something different, let's hear it. That would be great. Drop it in the comments below. If this has helped you feel more confident at the table, let's go ahead and subscribe. Let's like the video. And we'll see everybody on the felt. Thanks for watching.